All right, Serious and Silliness has a special guest, Kashma Maharaj. I got that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, and she is a female bodybuilder. And from special request, I found you on Instagram and invited you on, and here we are to do this interview. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. And how are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. Long day, but we're here doing it.
Yes,
Where are you from?
I am from Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, really? From Trinidad? Okay, okay, all right. And where do you live now?
In Trinidad and
Oh,
Tobago.
oh, okay. So Trinidad and where?
Well, it's two islands, so the whole country is known as Trinidad and Tobago, but I'm based in Trinidad.
Okay, so Trinidad. I have actually a lot of friends from work actually are from Trinidad.
Wow, yes.
Yeah,
Trinidadians
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. They come to New York a lot, I guess, for work and what. Great people, really. They really are.
Good, good.
Um, okay, tell me a little bit about your bodybuilding background.
I started competing back in 2008. And
Mm,
here in Trinidad, I did several of the national shows and some of the small gym shows.
mm,
Because when I first got into bodybuilding, it was never actually my intention to turn pro. It was just a physical and a fitness challenge because I liked working out. I went to a bodybuilding show in Trinidad and I saw, the guys, the girls on stage, and I kind of felt like that was something that I could do. So I
mm.
tried it, you know, just for the challenge. And my first show was a national show and I won. Then I did probably five shows the first year that I competed, and I think I won like four out of five. So that kind of motivated me to try to compete a bit more.
Sure.
And I did that. And from competing in Trinidad, I also competed in the United States at the Arnold Classic in 2013. And I won the women's heavyweight division in that category.
So
That
the
was
Arnold
pretty
Arnold
awesome.
Classic amateur
Yes. Yeah.
and the one women's heavyweight. And do they give a
Yes.
pro card for that or no?
Well, when you go into that category, there's lightweights and heavyweights.
Right.
So I went up against the woman's lightweight and she won the overall.
Oh, oh,
Got her pro card at that event. Yeah,
okay.
yes. And then I competed at the Arnold Classic in Europe. I think
Mhm.
that was also in 2013. And there I placed fourth, and that was an open category, just all different weight classes and
Okay.
women from all over the world. I think there were like 17 international bodybuilders on that stage.
Hmm.
So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that sounds
And
great. You seem well established in the bodybuilding world.
I've been competing for a while.
Okay.
And so I guess coming from Trinidad, which is a very small island,
Hmm.
there aren't many female bodybuilders from the Caribbean or from Trinidad to begin. So
Hmm.
in that way, I'm one of very, very few. I mean, there are very few female bodybuilders in the world, but in my country and in my region, I'm probably the only one.
Okay. Because that was my next question. How popular is it in Trinidad?
Now, fitness and competing, it has picked up. And when I say now, I mean over recent years, since more categories were introduced, like physique and wellness and so you see more women enticed by those categories, because it's not as, I guess, intimidating or as demanding as the women's bodybuilding category.
Yeah.
So you see more women getting into those. You don't see more female bodybuilders.
Mhm.
And you just generally see more women at the gym, which when I started, lifting, I used to be probably one of two women in the gym lifting.
Mhm.
So it's nice to see that demographic changing.
Yeah, it is. I have a lot of respect for women's bodybuilding for particular reasons. Well, number one, I'm a fan of bodybuilding in general, so to me, but everything piggybacks off of women's bodybuilding, all the other categories. Women's bodybuilding was the original. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't have any other categories. The other reason why I respect women's bodybuilding much more so than the other categories is because you guys have to put up with a lot of shit. And at the same time, you just got to go, yeah, whatever. This is me. This is what I'm doing. And I don't care. So, like things like, people saying nasty things online, on social media, or even people saying insulting things in person, and you have to have really, really strong and thick skin in order to basically go against the grain what people think is feminine, right? But women's bodybuilding basically says, screw you. I don't care what you think. This is my lifestyle. This is what I'm doing. And I have a lot of respect for that, because I don't think a lot of women could actually deal with the negative comments like women bodybuilders do. So again, you could
Not a
expand
lot of
on that.
women and not even a lot of men, because the
Yeah.
comments can really be harsh.
Mm.
And when I first got into, wanting to really mass up and have all the muscle that I could possibly pack onto my 5'1" frame, I was walking around at 185 pounds at my
Wow.
maximum, which was really thick. That's a
Mm.
lot of muscle
Yeah, it
on
is.
a short girl.
And you're 5'1",
Um,
you said?
5'1", yeah.
Wow, that's big. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, before I started competing, I think my heaviest, I was probably like 102 or 104 pounds.
Hmm.
And, from lifting, I gained weight. And yeah, my max is 185. And
So you put on 80 pounds of muscle,
yeah, pretty much,
and
yeah.
and how much period of time?
I would say 2009 to about 2012, so like 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
really
that. I mean,
transformed.
yeah. I mean, that's extremely impressive, which means you must have phenomenal genetics, number one. You must be the type of person that looks at weights and grows, right? Because that's not normal. Even for an elite bodybuilder, that's not normal.
No, it's not. Now, yes, genetically, probably I do have a bunch of genes. I don't know. But yeah, I do gain weight very easily, like when I lift.
Mm.
If I don't lift, I lose weight very easily. So I would go to the gym and I would get a mad crazy pump, or like, I wouldn't train arms, but my arms just get very, very big. They're bigger
Wow.
than most guys' arms. And when I do train arms, oh my God, they're just like,
Yeah, right, 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 right. Well,
so,
that's impressive. That is really impressive.
but I mean, apart from that too, yeah, with bodybuilding, there's, the diet,
Sure,
there's the supplementation, and then there's
sure.
the extra supplement.
Right, 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 right.
So, when I was competing and very much involved in a sport, like, wanting to get onto the Olympia stage and wanting to get my pro card, because when I started competing, I was what you would consider as an international looking level,
Mhm.
so my at the age of like 28. And that was pretty young, back in like 2008, because at that time, most of the girls that you saw on stage would be, probably in their late 30s, maybe
That's
early
right.
40s,
Yeah,
to see the kind of muscle maturity and the mass and just the development that I had at like 28.
right.
So, obviously that didn't come all naturally. I did what I had to do with the guidance of, my coach,
Mhm.
because, if you want to compete at that level, and go as
You don't have
far
a
as the
choice.
game will
Yeah,
take you, yeah, you don't have a choice,
yeah.
So I made that decision. And, you know, in some ways I don't regret it. In some ways I do regret it, but for the most part, I don't.
Now, what part are you talking about that you don't and do regret?
Well, initially getting into competing, I literally knew nothing about bodybuilding. I went
Mhm.
to one bodybuilding show. I probably read a couple muscular development magazines, and that was the extent of my knowledge. So I relied on, experts. And, in hindsight, it was naive because these people aren't, medical professionals.
Right.
So a lot could have gone wrong. Thankfully for me, nothing went wrong.
Good,
But,
good, good, good.
in current events, like you see a lot of news always coming out about athletes in the hospital. because, they had severe dehydration. The
Hmm.
young athlete had some issue with their heart or something.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
sometimes you see people following the wrong guidance. So that's what I said. In like hindsight, that aspect is like maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to do, but it's already
Yeah,
done.
and you happen to be 100% right. It seems to be a little bit, I mean, it's harmful for both men and women, but it seems to be a little bit more harmful for women. And there are certain coaches that will guide you to push the envelope a little too much.
Yes.
And then there are certain coaches that will remain nameless that actually have some deaths on their hand, if you will.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
yeah, you definitely want to be in good hands. And because once you get the tunnel vision, and when I mean tunnel vision is like I just want to win. Once you get that, it's hard to like say no to something that you think will make you better.
Exactly. And the thing too is like, I mean, I don't know about other athletes, but when you look superhuman, you feel superhuman.
That's true. That's
So
true.
you kind of think, oh no, that's gonna happen to the other athlete. It's not gonna happen to me. That me.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So do you
Yeah.
compete anymore or you don't compete anymore?
No, I stopped competing in 2016. My last contest was in Orlando, Florida. I
Okay.
did the Europa and I won that category. It was women's
Okay.
open and yeah, women's masters.
Okay. All right. Can we go into the supplementation, the super
Sure.
subs, if you will?
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what at your height were you using and what kind of side effects did you see from it? Because it affects men and women differently.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't know exactly all of what I was using and in what dosages because,
Yeah, you
like I
get
told
around
you,
about.
I had a coach, and my coach was my, if you want to call it, chemist.
Yeah, and he was
So
okay. You trusted him.
we got everything. I didn't know A to Z, from anything because back then there really wasn't that much knowledge on the internet.
Mhm.
Now, yeah, you can go onto the internet and you can
Everybody talks
research.
about it. It's unbelievable.
Right, everything, and you can come up with a cycle on your own, and a post cycle,
Hmm.
everything. You can do it all on your own if you do enough research.
Right.
And there wasn't anything really on the internet, and there was no one for
Hmm.
me to talk to. So my coach just whipped up a cocktail,
Hmm.
and as I prepared for one contest or the other, he would put me on a cycle, and yeah, get me in shape. So I really couldn't say exactly what it was, how much of it was. No,
Do you remember anything at all or no?
no, 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 because he wouldn't tell me. He
Oh,
would
Jesus.
literally, yeah, no, he would buy the product, have it, and give it to me. Yeah,
Wow.
yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be uncommon. I've seen that before in person with a
Uh,
guy, with a friend years ago when and I was asking him what he was using, and he's like, I don't know, so and so is helping me. And I was
yeah,
like, you don't know what you're using? And
right.
he's like, no. I was like, you don't know what dosages you're using? He goes, no. And
Well,
I'm
you see,
like,
a lot of coaches, they keep that, as they call it, the secret recipe to themselves because once you figure it out, then you don't need them anymore.
I got
First
news for
off.
you. You don't need them anyway. I
No,
mean,
you
that's
don't.
the
You don't. But what I'm saying is, as a young athlete back then,
yeah,
without access to much information or knowledge, it was a way to kind of keep someone there as your athlete,
yeah,
and they're not gonna go off and do
yeah.
it on their own.
And how old are you during this time?
I was like 27, 28,
Yeah,
29.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's always that men see some men, not all men. Okay, some men who are manipulative by nature, because that's really not a man's nature to be manipulative, but a man who is manipulative finds their targets, if that makes sense, and then they know how to create a bond.
Right.
I mean, we see this all the time with pimps and prostitutes, and with the Charles Manson who had girls actually kill for him. And these type of guys are dangerous. They're the most dangerous, and they're the lowest form of men. They truly are, because it is not a man's nature to be manipulative. A man's nature is to be straightforward,
Yeah.
right? So when you look at a guy who is manipulative or passes the buck or points the finger, blames everybody else, that's not very masculine. That doesn't get respect from guys who are very masculine. So I wish you had an older brother.
Yeah, well,
that,
no, unfortunately, I'm the eldest.
yeah,
I have
oh,
two
I wish you had
younger
an older
brothers.
brother that would have kicked the shit out of.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is that coach, that was his method with everyone, male and female athlete. It was
Yeah.
all a mystery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate, but they're out there, and I'm glad we're
So
talking
yeah,
about it. I'm glad we're talking about it because they are out there. There's so many coach, gurus, coaches that they have no idea what they're doing, and it could be the smallest thing. And it could be the biggest thing. I mean, some of the most ridiculous things I've seen online. We actually did a video. We actually did a podcast, me and the guys on the panel, and this guy was talking about spot reducing. He was talking about these crazy amounts of steroids to use. He was talking about what's the fat burner that's extremely dangerous. I forgot the name of it. It's highly flammable. It's extremely dangerous. I totally forgot what it was called, but it doesn't
right.
matter. And they're out there. These guys are out there, and unfortunately, they look for targets and they look for young people that are impressionable, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Anyway, okay, let's get off that. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you regret getting that big, or did you enjoy being that size?
At the time, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. A lot of
Yes,
people do.
because yeah, at the time I enjoyed it because I wanted to see what my body could do, how big I could get, how strong I
Mhm.
was, and just up against other girls. I wanted to see what I could bring to the stage. So it was exciting, but then after a while, it became a job to just maintain that size. Because when I got up to like 185, I felt like all I was doing was eating, sleeping, and training,
Mm.
which sounds great and sounds like a typical bodybuilder life. But truly, if all you're doing is eating, sleeping, and training, you're just miserable.
It's the truth. It really is.
Because, yeah,
Can you go into a little bit how much you used to eat? Because that's a lot of people don't understand how much bodybuilders have to eat.
look, I mean, I was eating so much. I was eating at all you can eat buffets for breakfast, lunch, dinner, all day. Yeah, yeah, because at that time I was living in the United States. So I knew exactly, okay, when should I go to IHOP? When should I go to Denny's? When is Golden Corral gonna have like a great whatever, or the Chinese buffet? And yeah, I would cook sometimes too. But because for me, I had so much extra size, I needed as much calories as I could get just all during the day. And it could not be just clean calories.
Right.
So for me, I could literally sit and just eat a tub of peanut butter and it's not going to do me a bunch of harm, you
Wow.
know? Yeah, at that time,
Sure.
because I was just burning through calories so much. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
It
I can only
was a lot.
imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had guys, tell me in crazy amounts of calories. I interviewed Dave Palumbo. I'm sure you know who Dave Palumbo is, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I interviewed Dave Palumbo, who I admire greatly. I always have been, always will. We still keep in touch here and there, just from the podcast and when I had him on and whatnot. And he talked about a shake that he used to make. Did you ever hear about his shakes that he was like famous for?
With like oats and peanut butter and banana and
And a dozen eggs.
okay, yeah, that part, no, I won't do that part, but the
Yeah,
rest,
yeah.
yeah.
He used to put a dozen eggs into a blender, and the old school blenders, the old school glass blenders, a
Right.
dozen eggs into a blender with like apple juice, oatmeal. At the time it was Metrix. He used to put Metrix in there,
Yes.
peanut butter, whatever the case may be, and he used to blend it up. But he used to put the eggs in a microwave first because he was so afraid of salmonella poisoning.
Right.
So it would be like warm, and
Yes.
then he would have this huge tub of the shake, and he would leave the lid off because it would go
Not
all the way right
frozen.
to the top,
Yes.
and then he would drink it over the sink, and then he would have to wait so he didn't throw up, so he would just wait there, and he would just wait over the sink because if
Yeah.
he would just be like, okay, don't throw up, don't throw it. And sometimes he did throw it up, and then he would do it all over again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm like
Yes.
that. That is
So
that's
I got to that phase too because there came a point where you just get tired of chewing.
right.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to liquefy everything. I didn't quite liquefy it with like apple juice and eggs. No, I kind of made sure it was delicious.
Okay. Good.
Stuff that was meant to go together, or if not, I'd just make it into like a soup, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I did the whole high calorie liquid diet thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of people look at the pictures and they go, wow, that's incredible. They don't know the work. And the
Yeah.
gym is the easy part. The gym is the fun part,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes.
the food and the sleep and the supplements and the super subs and everything that you have to put together. That's really the hard job. During that time,
Exactly.
yeah, it really is. During that time, what were you doing for a living in order to, make money?
That's when I was living in Florida, so I did a lot of photo shoots
Okay.
for different websites that existed at that time. Some of them don't operate anymore.
Mhm.
Social media changed,
Yeah.
these paid websites. So I was doing a lot of photo shoots at that time. I used to do a lot of like video work for like some fetish websites and stuff.
Ah, okay.
I was doing some personal training, and I also used to do webcam at one point in time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Could we get into the fetish and webcamming? Because
sure.
that's another unspoken or silent um, way to make a living for female bodybuilders that uh, don't make a lot of money. So before, when I was saying you have to deal with a lot of negative comments on social media or in person, but the flip
Mhm.
side is there are men that absolutely love bodybuilding women and they have this fetish. They absolutely love it, so on and so forth. And they will pay a lot of money to talk to you, to see you in person, to do whatever strange requests they want. But
Mhm.
oddly enough, most of the time it's not sex. It's like domination kind of thing, right?
Right.
So, okay, why don't you go into it?
The best way to describe it is how it was explained to me. Like, as you said, a fetish does not have to be sex,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a person who is into a fetish can move on from a whole number of things that I never knew of. I learned so much in moving to the United States. So yeah, you have guys who they find maybe, girls with big biceps, they really like that. Or they're into like arm wrestling or being like certain types of wrestle moves in
Mm-hmm.
general, like scissoring or chokes, some guys really like bear hugs. There's a fetish also involved with the whole muscle female domination
Mm-hmm.
called lift and carry,
Yes,
where,
sir.
it's a guy that likes for a strong woman to lift him and carry him. And it could be a number of ways. It could be one specific way. Like some people might write and say something like, they really want to just be held in a cradle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're gonna, feel your biceps, you're gonna feel like your chest muscles, different upper body muscles, right? And it does different things for them. Everybody's different.
Right,
So
right,
there's
right.
that lift and carry fetish, and all of it falls under like different types of domination.
Mm-hmm.
Domination isn't necessarily just all dressed in leather with a sleeve that's blindfolded and gagged and
Yeah, there's all
has a
different types.
leash on him. Yeah, there's different types of domination.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's the muscle fetish domination. And again, categories are so many. There are people who like boxing, anything from just playful fantasy type boxing to real street level type fight beat down,
I've
Yeah,
heard.
yes, there's that. Um, what else? Specific muscle body part fetishes. So I mentioned like,
Mm-hmm.
bicep. or chest or legs or calves or whatever traps,
Right, right,
for
right, right.
the foot fetish, which isn't necessarily just for female bodybuilders or muscle women. That's, I guess, generic,
Hmm.
very broad bands. But there are people who would want like sweaty socks, maybe.
Ooh.
you know, they'd write to you and they'd be like, hey, how much would you want if you just mail me like a pair or two pairs of your socks after you had like a hard leg day? Or, obviously there are people who also want to buy like your panties
Mhm.
or your leggings or something like that. I get lots of requests for shirt ripping,
What?
videos, shirt ripping.
Okay. Shirt
So,
ripping. Right, 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 right.
videos for shirt ripping or, just in person, like shirt ripping. Yeah.
Okay.
And
What kind of
those.
what kind of money are we talking? What kind of money do they offer?
Oh my gosh, it depends.
So
So,
let's say they want a pair of your sweaty socks after a workout. What would you charge?
I mean, I've had offers from like 20 US bucks to like 100 US bucks for a pair of my
A
socks.
pair of socks. And what
A pair of
about
socks.
oh yeah, that's crazy. Do you know how many pairs of socks you can get for $100?
Or
You get like
$20.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. What about if they wanted your panties?
I've gotten like requests for up to 200 or 300 US for a pair of
Mhm.
panties.
And foot picks.
Foot pics on, sometimes they will say they want specific or a bunch or videos or
Mhm.
whatever. Um, and that varies. Like I've had people offer to pay like, $100 or $50 just to do a few minutes. It's not like, it's an hour long or Hollywood production or whatever,
Right, 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 right,
you
right.
know. And just see my feet,
Yeah, right, right,
or
right.
walking through the gym barefoot, maybe at the
Mm.
beach. It's nothing like super.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. um, these are all things that you could do through social media, through the internet. Hey, PayPal
yes.
me, send this, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever had actual experience with the person one on one?
One-on-one, yes, I did. This was when I was in the United States, and another female bodybuilder that I was living with at the time. I had just moved. I had completed, I'm trying to situate myself. So she was telling me about like these muscle fetish sessions, right? Because I think I asked her, because people have been writing to me on Facebook and asking me about sessions. And I was like, yeah, like I'll be in Florida, I'll be in Miami, I'll be in Tampa, for personal training sessions, right? And
Hmm.
like I'm trying to do like fitness evaluations and stuff like that with people, right?
Hmm.
And I kind of realized this is not what they meant. Like,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
takeaway was completely different from what they meant. So when I got there, I asked the other female bodybuilder, like, what is this? Like, what is this session that people keep writing to me about? I don't know what it is. And she kind of explained to me, right? And she's like, it's one of those things like you have to like experience it to understand it, you know? So she's like, I actually have a client that's in town, right? And I won't give details, but she knew him, she trusted him, whatever. Much older guy. And she's like, you should meet him, right? It'll be like a good first experience. So I went and I met him, and he literally just wanted to see me do this
Hmm.
and do this for like 2 hours straight. Like as much as possible, like all
Okay.
different angles and all kinds of bicep posing and chest posing and like some lat posing. And that was it. Now, I mean, that sounds like the easiest, most funnest thing in the world. But after you do that for like
Not for
10
2 hours.
minutes,
Yeah, you're
you're
exhausted.
sweaty, you're pumped. And he was kind, he had thought about this because obviously he knew he was experienced. I was
Hmm.
so he had food there for me. There was like steak and like grilled chicken and salads and chocolates and fruits
Wow.
and Lucozade and whatever else. because I think he also had like dumbbells, because he wanted me to like get pumped up and, it's like in between the posing, I'm like getting pumped up. So, you know, I'm like 28. I'm in Florida. This is like, okay, I thought it was a little strange. But I'm
You
like,
think?
yeah, I was like, it's a little bit
Excuse me.
strange that somebody would want to like just see me pose my biceps and get pumped up for like an hour or 2 hours or something. Um, but I was like, if guys want to do this, well, I don't mind.
Yeah, I'll take that
you
money.
know,
If you don't
yeah.
mind, if you don't mind me asking, what did something like that go for? What did you actually charge a person like that?
Oh, I'd rather not say.
That's
Yeah,
fine. That's fine.
yeah.
That's fine. Not a problem. What was the strangest request you ever had?
That obviously I never did was two. One was like a fart in a person's face type of request. They wanted like protein farts,
That's
right?
hysterical. Oh
Yeah,
God.
like
Okay.
protein farts. And obviously the whole brown shower thing too.
Oh,
So yes, no, I have had those requests more than once, many times.
oh, and that's the line. That's where you go. No way. That's
And
not. I'm not doing that.
there was another one that I got that was also unique. It was a person who wanted me to, they said they had a foot fetish, but it's very new. They wanted me to like give myself a pedicure in their presence
Okay.
and then dominate them by make them eat my like toenails after I clipped. Yes.
Did you really do that?
No, I didn't. I
Oh
mean,
God. Thank God.
I could be cruel. I could be cruel and mean and dominant and a little bit sadistic, but yeah, I couldn't quite
Wow.
get into the headspace to, yeah.
Yeah, I really used to think that I was a freak in bed until I started this YouTube channel.
You learn new
and
things, didn't you?
and then I realized that I am uh not even a dot on the radar. I'm not even close.
You're like, yeah, that imagination muscle just is underused right now. Trust me,
Yeah,
you learn a lot.
it's
You learn a
unbelievable. Men take the
lot.
men take the cake when it comes to fetishes and perversions.
Yes.
They really do. They take it to a whole new level. It's unbelievable. And
Yes.
you want to know the funny part is that I always liked girls. I always thought girls that worked out were attractive. Always, 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 right? It was never like a fetish. I never wanted to do the muscle dominant, but I would always find girls that had bodies like yours very attractive. And they never wanted to date me. Not one ever wanted to date me.
Oh,
I swear to God. I swear
yeah.
they no, they it was just it would be like they were just not interested. I was like, okay, whatever, it is what it is.
It is what it
Yeah,
is.
that is some interesting stuff. Okay, so do you still do those things, or do you do other things to make a living now?
No, now I'm more focused on personal training
Personal training. Okay.
and I do like, promotions and stuff for my sponsor. So sometimes I'm at fitness events. I still do like photo shoots and video shoots, but not as often as before.
Mhm.
And what else do I do? I do wrestling. So, like I offer like wrestling sessions and stuff
So
like that.
you still do the wrestling
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So but that personal training, your photo shoots, promotions. Okay. So you're probably making a nice living. All right.
Hey, you trying to do the math over there?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to write them. I wish I had the numbers. No, I have a list of things I need to ask you because if I
Yes.
don't, I'll screw up the interview, and then I just check them off when I ask them to you. So that's why you see me doing this.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay, women back to women's bodybuilding. You
Uh,
mentioned it before. Yeah, there's some strange reason. I think it's a biological difference between men and women. Women get better in bodybuilding after their late 30s, early 40s. The women that are at the top of their game are always in their 40s.
right,
Where men, they're going downhill at that point. Men after 38, 39, 40. I mean, some of them still stick around. Don't get me wrong, the athletes are getting better and better, but generally speaking, after 40 for a man, it's kind of downhill, right?
right.
Unless you're Kamal El Garni or Dexter Jackson or some freak of nature. But for the most
Yeah.
part, it's all down. But with women, it increases after, like, 35. It gets your muscle mass and muscle maturity gets much better. Your careers get much better in bodybuilding after the age of 35. Why is
Mm.
that?
Again, I'm not a scientist, but maybe I guess as you get older with women, your natural estrogen levels go down a bit and your progesterone goes up a bit.
Mhm.
Maybe also I think with women, as you get older, um, you kind of get more dismissive of stereotypes. Maybe women more in their teens and their 20s are still caught up with trying to figure out who they are or who they're trying to be,
That's actually
you
a good
know?
point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe as you get older, you get a bit more comfortable in your skin. So it might be, I think, both biological and kind of psychological with just women maturing. And then I think with men, like a lot of guys get into the gym at a young age because adolescence, puberty, maybe bullying, they want to attract girls or whatever,
Yeah.
So maybe that's why guys tend to peak at a younger age than women do.
That's a very good point. I never realized that. I mean, the majority of it is probably biological, where men's testosterone levels are very high when they're young, right?
Yes,
And
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 then
they
it
don't they
drops
don't
off.
carry as much body fat, where women carry more body fat, and their estrogen level goes down, their body fat goes down when they get. So those are probably the major markers. But
Yeah.
the actual working out part and women wanting to fit into a particular category when they're young is a 100% accurate. I
Yeah.
never thought about that. That's very true. You see a lot of girls, I hear it all the time. Girls ask me, or ask, the guys on my show, what can we do to lose weight? And they don't want to work out. They don't want to lift weights.
Mm.
I mean, some of the newer girls will, but even them, like, they really just want to do, like, glutes. That's
Right.
it. They just want to do,
Exactly.
like, yeah. No, but that is a
Yes.
very good point. That is a point that I'd never thought of, actually. So what do you
Yes.
think of women's bodybuilding today? You've been out of the actual sport for a while, but what do you think of the girls today?
I do have mixed emotions.
Okay.
So I love seeing muscular women. But I think my ideal of what a woman's bodybuilder champion should look like isn't necessarily what everybody else agrees with. So like, okay, now I really like Andrea Shaw, the
Oh,
current Miss
she's amazing.
Olympia.
The
Right,
woman is,
she's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
But there was a kind of time I felt as if there was a bit of uncertainty in terms of what a woman bodybuilder should look like,
mhm,
and things kind of went a little too far. I
yeah,
mean, sometimes a person might say, well, it's women's bodybuilding, it's already going too far, so is there really such a thing as too far? But to me, yes. So like, I look at Linda Murray all the time.
yeah. I
And to
actually
me,
interviewed her. Yeah.
right. She is female bodybuilding perfection,
Right,
you
right,
know?
right, 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 right.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
like,
right. After her, it started becoming crazy. They started really pushing the envelope. Yes.
right, but she was just perfection,
Yeah.
just the whole aesthetic, her face, her body, her posing, just
Yeah.
everything about her, it was muscular but powerful but feminine,
Yeah. She was
and
absolutely beautiful, and still is
yes,
till this day.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, there were many great female bodybuilders after that I also liked, like Elena Cooper.
Hmm.
I loved her physique. And several others,
Hmm.
So but it's just that I felt the really lovely physiques were in the minority, and the kind of what's going on here
Hmm.
physiques was in the majority, you know? So that in a way became a turn off for me
Hmm.
because I was like, as a female bodybuilder, like I kind of don't want to fall into this category because even though I'm big and I'm freaky and I'm strong and I'm muscular, I don't really, see myself as, what the tone seems to be
Hmm.
set for this category. You understand what
Sure.
I'm saying?
Sure.
Just try
Yes.
not to be offensive to anyone because everybody has their ideal image of muscularity and
Hmm.
female athleticism. So to each their own, and I admire and respect it. It's just,
Sure.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was striving for something a little bit different.
Right. Well, the one good thing today is that there are plenty of categories you could choose from.
Yeah.
So if bodybuilding is not your cup of tea and you want a little downsize, you could do women's physique, and then you could
Right.
do a women's figure. If you're truly talented, you do women's fitness. That's
Yes.
another thing. Now,
Yes.
when it comes to like um bikini, and when it comes to wellness, eh, eh.
Right.
I'm not a big fan.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, but that doesn't mean they don't put into work. Those girls put in a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Yeah.
It just seems to be it seems to be like a money grab. It seems to be like bodybuilding took a spring break drunken guys, throw money at the girls bikini contest and made it legit.
Right.
And was like, let's
Yes.
just take it and put them on stage and actually make it legit. Well, what are your thoughts about the other classes in women's bodybuilding?
Um, well, I love physique. I think that's an awesome category. Fitness, yes. I mean, those girls are super talented.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Um, Figure, well,
Hmm.
I appreciate what figure was. Now, when it came to bikini and wellness, I'm like, all right, now we're kind of really kind of fine tooth comb things here and break things down into itty bitty little, categories,
Hmm.
and yeah, I do respect these girls, right? Some of them look really great, but I think it diminishes the value of the work that really goes into food, you know? So
Yeah,
that, and like I've been at bodybuilding shows when these categories first came up, and I heard these girls talking, and the way they talk is, they're bitching. Sorry, I don't know if you can say that on this channel,
you could say
but
it, absolutely.
right. They're bitching and they're moaning and they're complaining about how awful and terrible the prep was and the diet and so forth and so on. And then when you heard at that time what the prep was, it was like 2 weeks or 1 month of intense cardio.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
bikini category. I'm not saying the other categories. So like, that's why I said sometimes it kind of diminishes or depreciates the value that really goes into the total prep of female bodybuilding.
Hmm.
So instead of doing all of that, perhaps what they could have done was divided female bodybuilding into different categories, instead of it just being lightweight and heavyweight or whatever, instead of it being bikini and wellness, because I still don't fully understand what wellness is. I mean,
Me
my
neither.
definition is, yeah, it's, and they look great. They look great. I just, if you ask me to define what it is, I don't know. Bikini, okay, a girl that looks good in a bikini, but doesn't have much muscle.
Yeah,
Wellness, basically legs and butt, right?
yeah.
And
It's like figure with like a big butt.
right, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. So, so I'm like, I mean, isn't bodybuilding supposed to be symmetry, balance, portion?
Good
Like,
point. Very good point.
so how is it becoming all of this now? So that's why it became confusing for me.
Right.
And like my when I started bodybuilding was that there was no physique. There was bodybuilding, there was fitness, and there was figure,
Mm.
right? So my intention was to go pro and get on the Olympia stage and compete. Then when I got to that level, right, and I'm now in the United States, 2013, I believe it was, they removed female bodybuilding from the
That's right.
Olympia,
Yep.
right? Because I told you that's when I competed in the Arnolds and Europe and so.
Hmm.
So they removed it from the Olympia, and then they removed it from the Arnolds, and they removed it from a lot of major shows. So
Hmm.
as a female bodybuilder, there was nowhere for me to compete. And I was now at my biggest. I was now ready to, wow the world, with my huge physique, and boom, this category no longer exists. So it's like, all right, I'm
Yeah.
still young. I love
Hmm.
this sport. I still plan on making a career out of it, and competing has to be a part of that career. So I decided to downsize to fit into physique.
A lot of
And
girls did that.
it's right. So this is now 2014 into 2015, because it took me almost 2 years to break down my physique and break down my legs and get more of a silhouette to go into physique, right?
Hmm.
I started competing in bodybuilding physique, then they bring back bodybuilding. So
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's
I'm
right.
like, this is a freaking mind trip. This is
Yeah.
confusing. Like,
I
and
knew that
and
that's
even
exactly what you were gonna say. I knew that was absolutely.
right. And I mean, for anybody else, maybe just in my universe, it made like a huge impact because I was so passionate about competing. I wanted to be like the best me and represent my country and do something, no Trinidadian woman had ever done before. So I
Mhm.
had all this passion and desire and drive inside. And it's like this roller coaster with things happening within the bodybuilding world.
That's right.
So after a while, I was just like, no, my love and my passion is just being sucked out of me because it's too emotional now. And two, bodybuilding is a very expensive sport.
Yes.
So when you put years and years into building up a physique, and then now you have to break it down, it's almost like building a mansion and then deciding, oh no, I only need one third of the mansion, so tear
Hmm.
the rest up.
Yeah.
you know? So like it was a huge waste of time. I felt like it was a huge waste of money. I felt like it was a huge waste of just blood, sweat, and tears, you know? So that's why I stopped competing in 2000.
I couldn't agree more. I was really
Yes,
against the decision. Not that I have any influence whatsoever. I don't. But
yeah,
when they took bodybuilding away from the Olympia and the Arnold Classic, I was against the decision because, like I said, everything piggybacks off of bodybuilding, whether it's men's bodybuilding or women's bodybuilding. That's
right.
it. All those classes. And if you only have 5 girls that want to compete in bodybuilding, then let them compete in bodybuilding. I didn't understand why they had to take it away. The Olympia has reinstated it.
Yes,
The Arnold has not. I was always a fan of bodybuilding, a true fan across the board. Didn't matter if it was men or women.
right.
But unfortunately, but I don't remember. What is it? Wings of Strength has a strong hold on women's bodybuilding now and does a lot good for women's bodybuilding. They offer great uh prizes and better cash prizes and so on and so forth than the IFBB ever did. So it's a very good thing for
Mhm.
women's bodybuilding. But you're right. If you were in the mix, and I remember a lot of girls did that, they dropped the physique, and because that they thought that, well, this is the way it's going to go, and this is what I want to do, and then they brought it back, and that was Wings of Strength. It's like, wait a minute, now you're telling me I got to put the 20 pounds back on that I lost? Absolutely, I
Right.
could
Yeah,
not agree more.
yeah.
One more question, and then I'm going to let you go. Do you follow the men today at all?
I do. Yes, I do.
So have you followed anything with the New York Pro coming up or no?
In terms of the recent competitions, no, because I was actually just on tour and I got back to Trinidad and I've been in the process of moving.
Okay.
So I really didn't pay attention.
What male bodybuilders do you like today?
I love Big Ramy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure.
Yeah,
Everybody does.
yeah. I mean, he's just a monster.
Yeah, yeah, he really
Yeah,
is.
I mean, I love a lot of the guys that are out of the Middle East. I don't want to try to pronounce their names because I will always mess it up.
Yeah, yeah, me
But
too. Don't worry about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and well, I mean, I think Rolly Winkler has retired
Yeah,
now.
it seems like he retired.
I
Yeah,
liked
yeah.
him.
Yeah, I did
Um,
too. I did too.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Great bodybuilders are coming out of the Middle East.
yes,
Uh, Great bodybuilders are coming out of Canada and the United States, but they're coming in droves from the Middle East and Nigeria. I don't know if you noticed, but Samson Dowd lives in the UK, but he's originally from Nigeria.
right.
Um, Andrew Jack is from Nigeria.
Mhm.
Quentin Beastwood, he's Canadian. He lives in Canada, but he's from Nigeria.
Right.
You get one thing that's really great about bodybuilding now is it's completely globalized, and
Yes.
you're getting bodybuilders from
Mhm.
the UK and Canada and or the Middle East and even Asia. You have Korean bodybuilders coming in, Chinese
Yeah.
bodybuilders coming in,
Chinese
and
bodybuilders, yes.
it's making the sport a lot more exciting. I am
Yeah.
of the opinion that this is a new golden age because
Yes.
when you looked at the Olympia this year and you looked at the top 10, that was quality. Like
Yes.
Heidi Chopin and then Derek
Yes.
Lunsford. I mean, we haven't seen quality like that in men's bodybuilding since probably the Ronnie Coleman age.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think they're a little better now because they're bigger, they're rounder,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they're symmetrically fantastic. I mean,
Yes.
Samson Dowda in the Arnold Classic was like almost like a picture perfect Arnold Classic winner. You
Mm,
know, if you go down who wins the Arnold, you know, Cedric and then Kevin Levrone and Flex Wheeler.
mhm.
And when you see Samson, you're like, that's it. That's what they're
Yeah.
looking for, you know.
Yes. Yes.
It's fantastic. But what's the future like for Kashma?
Well, right now, I'm keeping that close to my chest. You know,
Okay. All right. Okay.
as it is, I love traveling. I love meeting people who are involved in the sports, and I definitely want to do something to expand sport here in Trinidad. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
as
That's
much
good.
as I'm gonna say. But
Okay. All right.
yeah,
One day I'll have to visit Trinidad because I have some friends at work that are from Trinidad, and it seems like great people in a great country. So one day I have to come in and visit.
it's awesome, especially for carnival time. So if
Oh,
you're
carnival
coming,
time.
carnival is definitely the best time to come.
All right. When is that? I don't even know what that is. You got to explain that.
That is the Monday and Tuesday that's before Ash Wednesday.
Really?
Yeah, it's always that Monday and Tuesday. So it's not a specific fixed date because Ash Wednesday
Right.
changes. So yeah, but that's when we have the whole street parade, like what you see with Brazil, the Rio de Janeiro Carnival.
Mm-hmm.
So ours is very similar type of costumes, but just different music.
Mm-hmm.
And with our carnival, the entire country gets shut down. Our
Really?
major cities are completely closed off to like business and traffic, and there's just people partying and in parades and drinking and dancing for 2 days straight.
That sounds like a wonderful country. It really does. It really, really does. It sounds like a wonderful country. One day I'll have to get there.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Kashma, I just want to thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure and much respect and much love. And you know what? I got to put together maybe female bodybuilding panel, maybe, 3 or 4 girls to
Yeah,
talk about female bodybuilding and other things. Maybe, when I do that, I'll keep you in mind and invite you on. If you can make it, that'd be great.
so I love that.
All right, Kashma, listen, have a nice night and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.